It was late evening in the quiet outskirts of Atlanta, where the golden sun was slowly dipping behind old brick houses and worn-down fences. The neighborhood was one of those forgotten corners of the city. Cracked pavements, rusted swings, and children with dreams too big for the small streets they played on. Among them was a little black boy named Jamal. Only 10 years old but carrying the eyes of someone who had already seen too much. His mother worked double shifts at the diner. And his father, a soldier, had never returned home. Jamal often roamed near the old train yard, his loyal companion being a stray dog named Rex, a retired police dog the officers had left behind after an injury. But Rex wasn't just any dog. He was trained to understand more than words. He could sense fear, danger, and even silent signals. That day, Jamal had no idea that his bond with Rex would unravel one of the darkest secrets buried in his neighborhood. As Jamal played near the rusted tracks, he noticed something strange: a black SUV parked behind the abandoned warehouse. Men in dark jackets were unloading boxes, whispering and glancing around nervously. He crouched behind a stack of wooden crates, clutching Rex's fur to stay quiet. The boy had learned to keep his head down, to mind his business. But something inside him whispered that this wasn't just about curiosity. This was wrong. When one of the men dropped a small bag, its contents spilled across the gravel. Stacks of cash and what looked like small packets of white powder. Jamal froze. His heart pounded so loud he thought the men would hear it. He wanted to run, to hide. But then he saw it, a police cruiser slowly turning down the street, its headlights reflecting off broken glass. The men saw it too. They panicked, tossing boxes back into the SUV, ready to flee. Jamal knew this was his only chance. He looked at Rex, his brown eyes steady and loyal. The dog tilted his head, waiting for a command. Jamal remembered something the old police officer had taught him when he used to visit the K-9 unit years ago: the silent signal. A subtle motion with 2 fingers, low to the ground, meant alert. Rex understood instantly. He sprinted from behind the crates toward the cruiser, barking sharply twice, the trained alert signal. The officers inside, Sergeant Collins and Officer Rivera, recognized it immediately. They jumped out, confused at first to see their old retired dog racing toward them. Rex. What the? Collins began, but before he could finish, the dog turned and barked toward the warehouse, scratching the ground, circling, and growling low. Jamal stepped out slowly, pointing behind the building. "They're back there," he shouted. The officers exchanged quick glances. They trusted Rex more than most people. Guns drawn, they rushed toward the warehouse. Within seconds, the men tried to speed off in the SUV. But Rivera's voice thundered through the night: "Police. Don't move." Tires screeched, engines roared, but Rex lunged at one of the suspects trying to flee on foot, dragging him down with surprising strength for an injured old dog. Jamal watched, trembling, as the officers tackled the others. When it was all over, the flashing red and blue lights painted the dark street like a heartbeat. Jamal stood quietly, his small hands shaking. Collins knelt beside him. "How did you know, son?" he asked gently. Jamal swallowed hard. "I saw them. And I knew Rex could tell you. He used to be a police dog, right?" The officer smiled faintly. "Yeah. He was one of the best." Rivera looked at the boy in disbelief. "Kid, you just helped bust a major drug ring we've been chasing for months." As they led the handcuffed men into the cruiser, one of them sneered at Jamal. "You think you're a hero, boy? You just messed with the wrong people." For the first time, Jamal didn't flinch. He looked down at Rex, who stood firm beside him, tail wagging slightly as if saying, "We did it." The next morning, the story spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. "Little boy helps police catch criminals," read the headline in the local paper. Reporters swarmed the small street, asking Jamal how he did it. But he just smiled shyly and said, Rex knew what to do. The police chief arrived later that day, handing Jamal a small badge-shaped medal. For bravery and quick thinking, he said proudly. And for reminding us that heroes come in all sizes. But that wasn't the end. A week later, strange things started happening, unmarked cars driving slowly by their house. Phone calls that ended in silence. Jamal's mother grew scared. She told him to stay inside after school. The criminals had friends, and word was spreading fast. One night, while sitting by the window, Jamal noticed a shadow near the fence. Someone was there, watching. He whispered to Rex, who growled softly. The next moment, the dog bolted out the door, barking furiously. A man tried to climb over the fence but tripped, dropping a small bag, filled with the same white powder. Sirens wailed in the distance as Jamal's mother called 911. It turned out the police had been monitoring the area ever since the arrest. And the man was part of the same ring. That night, Collins visited again. Kneeling in front of Jamal. "You're not just a hero, Jamal," he said. "You started something bigger. We've uncovered a whole network because of you and that dog." Jamal smiled, petting Rex's head. "I didn't do much. I just gave a signal." Collins shook his head. "Sometimes, a signal is all it takes to change everything." Weeks passed, and Jamal's life slowly returned to normal. He went back to school, but now, when teachers talked about courage, they looked his way. He didn't crave attention or fame, he just wanted peace. Rex became a local legend. Kids would come by just to see him. The police even gave him an honorary K-9 badge. Jamal would often sit under the same oak tree in the evenings, looking out at the horizon with Rex lying beside him. "We did good, didn't we?" he whispered. The dog nudged his hand gently, as if agreeing. But deep down, Jamal had learned something powerful, that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's quiet, small, and steady like a heartbeat. Sometimes it's just a boy and his dog, doing the right thing when no one else would. And if you've read this far, remember this. Heroes don't wear capes or uniforms, sometimes. They wear hand-me-down sneakers and carry the weight of bravery in their little hearts. If you believe that even small acts of courage can change things a week after the arrest. Jamal and Rex returned to the old warehouse. Something about that place still haunted him. As Rex sniffed around the gravel, his paw scratched a loose metal plate near the floor. Beneath it, a dark tunnel stretched deep underground. Jamal froze. This wasn't over. He ran to call Sergeant Collins, who arrived within minutes. The officers descended the tunnel and found crates filled with weapons and stolen IDs, proof of a larger criminal network. "You did it again, kid," Collins said, eyes wide. "You just uncovered their main hideout." Jamal smiled faintly, patting Rex. "He found it. Not me." The chief later announced a full city operation, calling Jamal and Rex the duo that lit a spark of justice. The little boy's signal had started a movement. One that reminded everyone. Even the smallest voices can shake the darkest corners.